Hello! Today is a Sketchbook Ideas Day, and this time we're going to be focusing on a theme rather than a material. All of the ideas in this video will be taking flight, and I'm really hoping you'll enjoy them. So heads up before we get going. Firstly, I'm going to be using all kinds of different materials for these ideas, and if you want to use the same ones, you can absolutely do so. But you can also choose whichever materials are calling to you today. Markers, paints, pencils, pastels, let them loose on the page. Secondly, these ideas, being flighty, are created as gentle encouragements to try new things in your sketchbook when you can. But don't feel like you have to do the extras that I try here if they feel like too much. All of these ideas start from a simple prompt and can lead wherever you wish them to go. So adapt them to suit your arty impulses and time available. Okay, sketchbooks, it's time to soar! For this first idea, I'm using colouring pencils, and at first I limited myself to just a few core colours, but later on I pulled the rest of the rainbow in, so there's a reminder right there that you can always change your mind as you go along. It's sort of the whole point of a sketchbook session, to figure out what you want as you go. That's also why I'll pop up little thumbnails of my original idea doodles as we go along too, so that you can see what I had in my brain and where my hands eventually took me. So the subject area here is kites. Oh, I love a kite. They are so emotionally and literally uplifting. They are also super simple to draw because the most classic ones are just diamond shapes. So settle in with me and start drawing diamonds on your page. Big ones and small ones. Scatter them so that they tilt at slightly different angles from each other. I'm using yellow to start with because I find it a great colour to use underneath my sketches. It gives them a pleasing underglow. Then draw two lines across the centre to be the kite frames, from the top to the bottom corners and the right to the left corners. Already, it is looking very kitey. So now it's time to start colouring them in, and you can do this however you like. If you're using paint markers, maybe you'll use one solid matte colour and then add patterns. If you're watercolouring, perhaps you'll merge colours together. For me, with my pencils, I'm using one main colour on each kite and then layering some other colours around their edges. I'm also putting little triangles on each corner as if they are the tabs holding the kite frames together in place. Once you have a beautiful array of kitage happening, it's time to add tails. This is a fun bit because it's a moment of swirly twirliness that requires no planning. You can just let your pen, pencil or brush waft around the page. Whee! Here I'm using a slightly darker colour over the top of the tail lines, but just on every other curve, which gives them a bit of easy variation and dimension. I had drawn a faint border at the start, and I'm making it a bit bolder here, with intentional wiggles thrown in, because I'm enjoying the string-like feeling it has. My friends, it is bow time. Bow time is show time. Sometimes I wonder how these things make it into my script. I am simply all cheese and cannot help myself. Bows on the tail lines are another wonderfully simple shape. Just make a cross over the line and connect the two sticks at each end. Place the bows regularly down each tail and you end up with quite a jaunty page of jolly kites. Now, if you wanted, you could stop here and move on with your day. But if you want to linger longer, you can add some sky swirls. I'm doing mine with a really pale peachy colour. I'm essentially drawing lines or blobs which fit into the spaces between my kites and then drawing other swirls inside of them. Then I'm colouring in alternate areas in these swirly shapes for no other reason than it felt like the thing to do. Much like the tail lines, I added a slightly different, deeper colour onto alternate curves too, because why not? Now this last bit is a little extra, so take it or leave it. It's just a reminder that you can always go a little further in your sketchbook should the mood come upon you. Our kites here need strings for us to hold onto them by. And you can absolutely just draw these onto the page however you like. But here I'm going to add actual strings. I have some colourful threads and a sewing needle, and I'm going to push through the centre crossbar of each kite and then pull the string towards the bottom line of my border. If you try this, a handy tip is to poke the holes that you need to thread through from the front first, even if you'll actually be threading from the back. That way you can just flip the page and find the hole. Adding actual strings is fun because you can play with pulling them into different positions, and it's just a different way for your hands to move and create, which can help spark new ideas for future sketchbook sessions. It's like you are physically holding on to the kites, taking part in the scene. After tying off the last threads, this is what it looks like. I really enjoy the feeling of having the threads on the page. This spread brings me a smile. I hope it does the same for you. Let me know if you create your own kite party in the sky of your sketchbook. Come Josephine in your flying machine, because this idea is sparked by the thought of inventions. Also, quick note, see those random threads on the page on the left? They're from our kites, but stick around to the end of the video to see how I made use of them in a quick bonus idea. So back to inventing. Flight for us humans has always been a fascination, and over the years we've managed to find ways of getting up into the air. Invention sits at the heart of it, and invention can be messy at first. So why don't we use this sketchbook page as a way to let our minds spew forth whatever wondrous bibble it comes up with. Let's invent our own flying machine, but one that isn't restricted by practicality or logic. Now, don't worry if you're sitting there drawing a blank. I did at first too. Inventions are a process, so we'll start with the smallest of sparks and grow from there. I'm starting here with sketching cogs. Cogs just feel very machiney to me, so they seem like a good thing to doodle. Then I move on to pressure gauges. I know, right? When would you ever think to sketch a pressure gauge? But the cogs got me thinking of steampunk type flying machines, and they led me to thinking about dials and gauges. From there, I start thinking about old-style lanterns, and I have a lovely time sketching what looks like a bulb in a cage, but a fancy one. Essentially, I'm letting this page become a hodgepodge of random thoughts which are leading me somewhere. Because of this, I'm not thinking about the layout or aesthetics of the page. I think often we can get hung up on trying to make sketchbook pages look beautiful rather than exploratory. It's helpful to remember that you can sketch messily, cross things out, make notes about what you're thinking about and why. Make this page a functional one that shows the breadcrumb trails of your process. These smaller doodles have helped me think up a bigger idea, so now I'm having a go at drawing a diagram of my flying machine. I am going to fly away in an old-style bathtub. That's all I have to start with, but it leads me to other thoughts. How will this tub be pulled up into the air? Maybe it will need some ropes strung underneath it and a frame to hold those ropes. How will it light the way to see where it's going in the fog? Ah yes, the lantern. How will it push forward through the clouds? It needs a propeller. Bit by bit, I sneak in my cogs and dials, rudders and wings, and eventually add a bubble funnel on the base, which could push bubbles downwards and let the tub surge upwards on top of them. Yes, it's all completely implausible, but that's the joy of it. It does not matter. The point is that thoughts are flowing into each other and gradually creating a picture. Once I've made my main diagram sketch, I make another smaller one from a different angle. This helps to spark more thoughts about how the wings might work and how the seat might look. You can go as detailed as you like. Give yourself permission to think practically about impractical things and have fun with it. To finish, I'm using a brush tip fine liner to go over the main diagrams and a few of the mini sketches. And I name my flying machine the Tub-elevator, which gives me much pleasure. If you create a flying machine, let me know what you call yours. I'm picking up the murmurations. This idea is about splitting up our page into sections and letting elements travel through them, and we'll be using the magical murmurations of birds to do it. My original plan was to have 4 sections all the same height. Then, for reasons unknown, I went rogue during filming and taped off boxes that were all different. Whims can hit you at any time. I'm using soft pastels for this one, which is why my boxes are taped with washi, but you could draw the boxes in if you're using other materials. Okay, so first on the to-dos is to sketch in a horizon line, which is consistent through all of my boxes. Then I'm filling in the sky sections with yellows, oranges and pinks, and blending them together to make a soft, dusky glow. Then I'm using various greens to blend in for the land sections, and then adding in darker tones for shadowy mountains and grasses. As you can see, you don't have to get detailed here. You can just enjoy smooshing colours and creating a mood. Then, if you're using tape, it's time to peel. Mine still didn't turn out to be the cleanest of pages. Pastel dust is so sneaky, it gets everywhere. So it's murmuration time, and I'm using a charcoal pencil to create my birdie bonanza. I start in the third section, adding simple curved or V-shaped marks that can echo birds. I scatter them in a haphazard line which continues over the box edge, across the white space and into the fourth box. The idea is that my murmuration is going to weave through the box windows. Some will fly across the white spaces, others will fly behind them. The birds are going to fly behind the space between boxes 2 and 3, so I leave that blank and continue the murmurations trail inside box 2. This is where the main cluster of birds are swirling, so I'm adding them in a wider curve and then letting them travel across the white space into box 1. As they enter box 1, I start tapering down the murmuration again and let the few birds who are leading this trail fly behind the white space back into box 2. I really love how this looks, though I will say I think it might have looked better with all the boxes the same size as I originally planned, as I think I left a bit too much white space between them. Because of this, I added in some line drawings of swallows just to fill the spread up a bit. But I'm definitely going to try this again in another material. I think watercolours would be lovely. Will you give it a try? A nice idea to try if you have a solo page to play with, though you can absolutely expand it out to a full spread very nicely. It's all about zooming in, letting tiny things take over the space. And here, the tiny things are wings. I'm sticking with a simple fine liner for this one and going straight in without sketching first. I know, so bold. I found a picture of a dragonfly wing to refer to, and then I'm just trying to draw what I see. But I'm drawing it big and letting it fall off the page. I'm taking my time to keep looking back at my reference and to really pay attention to what shapes and lines I can see inside the wing. There are so many different ones. It's pretty calming adding in each line and building this interesting grid up. Now I've filled the wing space and it's looking very wingy indeed. I'm going back over some of the lines to thicken them and make them darker. I'm boldening the main structure lines, which helps to create variation in the wing and draw the eye around it more. Then I'm rounding off some intersections, tapping into neurographic art ideas to create curves amongst the angles, partly because it's hugely satisfying to do, but also because I like how it looks in this wing. Okay, I've done enough on this wing for now, so let's add another one in. This one is a differently shaped one, and I'm going to position it so it underlaps my first. I build it up in the same way as before, adding one line at a time and then boldening various areas. And lastly, I'm drawing a third wing coming onto the page from the left and underlapping again. I decided to use insect wings as my reference for this page, but you could include bird wings too and really get deep into those feathers. I really enjoy the simplicity of this idea. It's a page that helped me to consider placement, scale and variation without really focusing my mind directly on those things. When I feel like I've done enough with my pen, I add in some blue shading with a pencil. I stick to just blue this time because I'm enjoying the look of it. But what colours might you choose? I'm stopping at 3 wings for now, but I could easily have carried on to fill the whole white space with other wings underlapped, which would have given a different feeling to the page. How many wings will make it into your sketchbook? Let me know if you try this one. So this idea at its core is simply hot air balloons. Go draw some hot air balloons because they are colourful and so adaptable as a prompt. You can give them patterns, make them fly over all kinds of landscapes. You can go in whatever direction you like with them. If that's enough and you've now got a spark in mind to try, feel free to skip on to the next idea. But if you fancy considering something a little bit extra, here's what I tried. And we're heading into the land of pop-up. Ooh, 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 ooh. I absolutely love pop-up books, and I get fascinated fascinated by how simple foundation folds can be built together to create the most amazing paper mechanisms. In this sketchbook session, I'm not getting fancy with it. I'm just going to add one basic popping element, and so I won't go into depth here about how to make it, because it will make this video way too long. But if you'd like me to make a video about creating simple pop-ups, do let me know in the comments. The focus here is more on the possibilities of our sketchbooks and sparking ideas for using it in different ways. You don't have to assume your sketchbook is a 2D only zone. You can experiment and let your creativity go further. I used watercolours to paint some loose, cloudy shapes on a separate piece of watercolour paper. Then I painted a couple of hot air balloons. I made a bunch of swirly painted swishes on my sketchbook spread, which would also be clouds, but as if seen from above. I took a marker pen and used it to make circular doodles over the top of the watercolour. I kept them loose and didn't worry about being scribbly. It's fun to be scribbly. I also used markers to add some line detail over the hot air balloons. Not a lot, just a smidge of doodliness. Then I cut out my clouds and my balloons and started figuring out the pop-up. I stuck the clouds together and made one fold down the centre. I had to do a bit of finagling to figure out the angles. Pop-ups are easier when the book opens flat, and this one was not doing that. So I had to cut some of the clouds off at the bottom to make allowances for the unevenness. I did bodge it a bit, but in sketchbooks, it doesn't matter if stuff goes wrong. You learn from it, see if you can fix it, and move on. It does look pretty wonky, eh? But it is popping up, and that is good enough for me. So my initial idea for this was to take my pop-up yet one step further and have the balloons suspended on a string amidst the clouds. So here I am trying to figure that bit out. Cutting thread, twiddling it around cocktail sticks and seeing if I can get it to pull straight and not saggy. And you might be thinking, why are you bothering with this, Gemma? It looks like a right old faff. And I mean, yeah, it is a bit, but it is a fun faff. This isn't something I'd have energy to explore every day. Sometimes a sketchbook needs to be a place for ease and speed. But other times, when I get the urge to play more, I really enjoy the challenge of allowing an idea to grow. And yes, someone might look at this and think, well, that looks a little bit ropey, stuck together with watercolour, sticky tape and a whim. But this hasn't been made as a premium example of pop-up or illustration. It's been made because I had an idea and I wanted to see if I could make it real. Now that I know I can, and with more time and planning, I feel confident I could create a version that would look much more polished. And isn't that another purpose for sketchbooks? To build confidence through testing out thoughts. Now it's finished, I really enjoy this sketchbook page. I think it feels uplifting and encouraging, and I love how the hot air balloons jiggle as the book opens. It is totally extra, but every now and again, extra can be just what we need. Bonus round, and you know when you have a page where the leftovers from an artwork are showing through? Well, it's a shame to have it as a wasted page, so let's try to use or work around what's there. Remember these backstage threads from our kite spread? I'm adding crows to them. I love corvids, so any excuse to doodle them is fine by me. I'm treating the threads as if they are sticks in the ground and perching the birds to sit on them. It doesn't need to make sense. It can stay minimalist and a little abstract. It's just a way to say, hey, I see you threads, and I can make use of you in a mini creative moment. There's a knot floating there, so for that, I will make the bird go flying to catch it. I think the birdies are having a lovely time. On this page, I have bleed through from the watercolours and markers that I used, so I'm going to insert a mini sketch into the clear space in 3 box frames. Taking inspiration from cartoon or graphic novel formats, I'm sketching a mini scene with each box taking the scene forward. So my scene is a rocket launching. The first box is a close crop of the rocket waiting to launch. The second box zooms out a little to see the rocket starting to launch. And the third box zooms out further still to show the rocket disappearing into the unknown above. This is a quick way to sketch that gets us thinking about movement and perspective and about how to frame the view. And it can fit onto any little sketchbook nooks that you have. So you've made it to the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching. It means a lot that you stuck with me. Let me know in the comments if you're going to try any of these sketchbook ideas, and if you found the video helpful or enjoyable, please do consider tapping the like button, as it is free and it really helps to support my channel. Until we meet again, friend, stay curious, keep making happy, and I will see you next time.